Have you guys ever heard of UWorld? Hello! So it's about to be a little less than 4 weeks before I take my NCLEX. And if you haven't watched any of my other videos, I'm using UWorld as one of my tools in order to review for my exam. Okay, so UWorld, what is it? UWorld is basically a question bank. It costs $60 a month and I would say that it's worth it. Okay, so unlike the NCLEX-RN Mastery app, which is only $30 I just checked, that's without any discounts, UWorld costs 60 bucks, which is twice the price. And I would say that they have relatively the same amount of questions in their question bank, just a little bit more than 1,800. Without comparison, going through UWorld questions for the first time, it's a little intimidating because even if you do their sample questions, which is free, I think you can do 25 questions for free, their questions are pretty hard. Not only will you be stumped by the kind of questions that they have as far as maybe certain terminologies, maybe it's just me because I graduated from the Philippines, maybe there's some terminologies that I'm not quite familiar with, at least certain acts that are going on here in the States that may or may not be applied in the Philippines or that I wasn't aware of. There seems to be a level of critical thinking that's involved in their questions. When you dive into a question, it's kind of like you're the new charge nurse on duty, which is the person that you assess first. So you get 4 answer choices, and as a normal person, or especially as someone who doesn't know much about anything medical or anything nursing related, when you look at the diseases at first glance you might be like, they're all pretty bad, which one do I choose? It's not as easy as ABC as far as your priorities are concerned. So this UWorld thing is quite challenging. UWorld does have its own app, which of course is for free, but I think you can only try to sample questions online on your computer, desktop, or laptop. I do have the app on my phone. I would say that UWorld is less convenient to do on the go because of how in-depth their rationales are as compared to NCLEX-RN Mastery. NCLEX-RN Mastery, you may get like rationales here and there, like maybe it might be in-depth, but then sometimes their questions or their rationales are just given just a little bit of acknowledgement in the rationales, or they might not even include them at all. But UWorld, it doesn't miss. It lets you know why these answers work and why they don't work, and it lets you have the background of what's the takeaway from this question. For just a question bank, UWorld is pretty good with its content. So other than rationales, I would also say that the UWorld is also very nice in terms of the interface, because when you go on there, it looks a lot like the NCLEX itself. So the environment is not anything strange to you. I don't remember if you can kind of strike out the answer choices on the actual exam or if you can highlight. I don't think you can highlight. But that's how it also works in the UWorld interface. One thing I like about UWorld is that when you answer questions, they let you know where you compare with everybody else. At least what's the average. If you're on a particular question, let's just say it's a psych question and it's select all that apply, you click your answers and you click submit. This is for the tutor mode, by the way. So while you're on tutor mode, you'll see right away that this is how many people on average get this question right. If you feel bad that you weren't able to answer the question correctly, you can look down in the box that shows you what the correct answer is, and it says there like 62% of people got this right, or 3% or 10% of people only got this question right. At least you can see, is this kind of question something that I should know or be able to answer just on par with everybody else? Well, you can definitely see how you compare with others when you click submit in tutor mode. But you can also use that in other modes too. It just so happens that tutor mode will just get you the rationales and what the correct answer is right then and there. And also one of my favorite features about UWorld is being able to track my progress. As far as what's my performance, how many questions am I getting right, in what categories, it'll just show you in a specific section on the side of UWorld. It'll just show on the side of your interface. I like UWorld for the rationales, they're in depth. I like it that you're able to see where you are, where you trend with everybody else who's answering the same questions you are. And I like how it shows the analysis of the progress that you're making in the question bank. Before I used to get scores less than 60, but now I'm able to hit even 72 sometimes, which isn't easy to do. Well, at least for me. If anything, I would say that you would want to hold off on UWorld if you can't quite understand how to break down questions, if you can't understand the vocabulary, like what it means, what's the difference between the the first thing that you do and the best thing that you can do. For me, I see it worth the investment, just like the others who have told me, to check it out. Apparently they all passed with 75 questions on the actual exam. And then they also say to use the charity. Because for me, UWorld wasn't the first thing that I used. Like, I used different apps before. I've used NCLEX-RN Mastery app before, and I've bought the Lippincott book for question and answer review, which I'll also mention down in the description. Although UWorld is broken down in their different categories, systems, and their subcategories, and yes, you can choose them according to your weaknesses or your strengths. But for me, I use UWorld to test me comprehensively. For me, I believe that there's a time that you should be able to study day by day according to your particular system and test and question yourself or do questions, according to that system. And then there's a time that you need to comprehensively test yourself and see how you deal with getting different questions or different subcategories that you aren't aware of. You may be fortunate enough to only take the exam in 75 questions, and you may only be limited to certain topics. Personally, I'm not preparing to only take certain topics. I'm preparing to take all of them. And I'm not stressing about it because I'm not supposed to know everything. So, in the end, conclusion, UWorld, it has its ups, it has its downs. You can make the decision of which works for you. But for me, I would test myself comprehensively through UWorld. It costs $60 a month, but it also depends if you want to do more than that. They have certain packages, and you can check that out by going to the website, and I'll link it down below in the description. So I like UWorld, and it's been suggested to me by many friends and also some viewers who have commented down below sharing their thoughts. Thank you, they're very much appreciated. If you'd like to share any thoughts about UWorld or your personal experience, I always read the comments. You're more than welcome to share your thoughts below. Feel free to like the video, subscribe if you also want to see my nursing journey as I prepare to take my NCLEX and maybe even after. So with that said, study well, rest best, and pray the most. Thanks for watching.